few people could have predicted the chilling depths of evil that Ted Bundy possessed. Charismatic, good-looking, with an IQ of 125, he easily fooled those around him, even as a string of brutal murders and disappearances sent a wave of terror crashing over America. In the summer of 1974, 4 women vanished in Seattle. All were aged between 18 and 25. All had long, dark hair. All were seen entering a Volkswagen Beetle. That's when the fear began to spread like wildfire, growing exponentially when 2 more women went missing. The authorities were completely baffled. The killer remained unidentified. The public was left wondering who would strike next. What they didn't know was that living undetected in their midst was the very man responsible for the atrocities. But he wasn't the person he pretended to be. By day, he was a seemingly unassuming law student working his way through college. But by night, he stalked the streets as a merciless killer, claiming victim after victim. He was clever enough to avoid detection for years. He covered his tracks meticulously, disposing of his victims with chilling precision. And then just as suddenly, he would vanish, leaving behind only a haunting silence and the faint scent of decay. Then in February 1975, he made a terrible mistake. For the first time, he was caught on camera. It was this image that led to his capture, but not before he escaped from custody in one of the most audacious jailbreaks in history. When he was finally brought to justice, the world watched on in morbid fascination as his televised trial became a global spectacle. But even in the face of overwhelming evidence, he maintained his innocence, leaving us to wonder just how many victims will never be known. This is Ted Bundy, the charming monster whose sinister secret shook a nation. Imagine living in a time before widespread internet use or cell phones. The idea of a killer stalking the streets, always one step ahead of the police, would send shivers down your spine. Now add to that the fact that this individual is articulate, handsome, and deceptively charming, a master manipulator who can blend into any crowd. The sense of unease and paranoia grows exponentially. This is the stuff of nightmares, a nightmare that became all too real during the 1970s. Ted Bundy's story is a chilling tale of deception and violence, a story that not only highlights the darkness that can lurk in the human heart, but also the fallibility of the systems designed to protect us. He was a puzzle that the authorities couldn't solve, a mystery that kept them up at night. Bundy seemed to be everywhere and nowhere, a ghost who slipped through the cracks of their investigation. But the story doesn't end there. Oh no. Bundy's cunning knew no bounds. He played a cat and mouse game with the police, leading them on a merry chase while he continued his reign of terror. Each disappearance fueling the flames of fear, each victim adding another chapter to the dark narrative of his crimes. As we delve deeper into Bundy's psyche, we begin to see the complexity of the monster that he was. A man with a seemingly normal life, a job, friends, and even a girlfriend, yet harboring a secret so sinister it defies comprehension. This duality of his character makes him all the more terrifying, a chilling reminder that evil can often be found in the most unexpected places. The case of Ted Bundy is more than just a series of murders. It's a study in deception, a testament to the power of manipulation and an exploration of the darkest corners of the human psyche. It was the year 1961 when Ted Bundy arrived at the University of Washington as an ambitious young student. Little did anyone know that beneath that charming exterior beat the heart of a cold-blooded killer. Over the next decade, he juggled his studies with a string of casual relationships, all the while honing the manipulative skills that would later become his trademark. Then came the fateful night that changed everything. On January 4th, 1974, a young woman named Anne Marie Burr vanished without a trace. What started out as a routine investigation soon turned into a desperate search as the days turned into weeks, and still no sign of the missing woman. It was a pivotal moment in the chronicles of crime that would forever change the course of history. As the investigation deepened, the police uncovered a horrifying pattern of behavior. One victim after another came forward with chilling tales of a handsome stranger who had lured them into his car under false pretenses. With each new account, the picture of a serial killer began to emerge, a predator who stalked the streets, preying on young women and vanishing without a trace. And so began the manhunt for a phantom, a killer whose identity was shrouded in mystery, and whose whereabouts were known only to the shadows. Months passed, and the pressure mounted on the police to find the perpetrator. The public grew increasingly anxious as each new day brought fresh horror. It was as if the killer was taunting them, striking again and again, always staying just one step ahead. Then, as if by some cruel twist of fate, Ted Bundy entered the picture. An accidental meeting with a victim who had survived his attack provided the crucial link that the police needed. His demeanor, his appearance, his very essence seemed to fit the composite sketch of the elusive killer. What followed was a series of events that read like a script from a thrilling movie. As the net tightened around Bundy, he became the prime suspect. Each piece of evidence, each witness testimony weaving a tight web that left him with no room to escape. But Bundy, being the cunning individual that he was not going to go down without a fight. When the evidence against him became overwhelming, he fled, embarking on a nationwide escape that kept the nation on edge. Every mile he covered, every state he crossed added another layer of complexity to the already tangled web of the investigation. It was a game of cat and mouse that captivated the nation. Finally cornered, Bundy's facade began to crumble. In the face of irrefutable proof, he broke down, confessing to a string of brutal murders that had shaken the country to its core. With his capture, a collective sigh of relief swept across the nation. Justice, it seemed, had finally been served. But as the full extent of Bundy's crimes came to light, the horror only deepened. The details of his heinous acts, the brutality of his crimes sent shockwaves that reverberated far beyond the courtroom. The man they had captured was a monster, a predator who had lurked in the shadows, striking when least expected, and leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. The story of Ted Bundy is one that continues to haunt us. Even today, his name evokes a sense of dread, a chill that runs down the spine. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of his tale is the question that still lingers in our minds. How many victims will never be known?